going to try and take as minimal amount of time. If you guys want to discuss and talk with me, that's great. There's a bunch of stuff I want you guys to know. Restore the Snyderverse. First of all, there is a petition out. It started probably yesterday, not too long ago. So you guys want to go check that out. Okay, Restore the Snyderverse is actually out. I don't know why uh, my streaming right now is breaking up like that. Let me see if I can step outside if it's going to make a difference. It doesn't seem to be making a difference. Okay, it's a little bit clearer here, but it's breaking up, breaking up. I don't know why. Terrible. I think it's my camera. Probably my camera. No, not my camera. I'll have to check my camera and see. It's strobing. It's really weird. So my conversation's really broken up and stuff. When I step out here, maybe I damaged my camera. You know what I could do? Flip it and see. Nope, it's strobing this way as well. I guess it's possibly the just the internet or something. I don't know, but it's strobing really terribly. All right, let's get into it. So, um, it's raining right now. Let me show you guys the place. So it's really strobing, man. That's terrible. It's raining out here, but let's talk about this. So I've been on social media, and one of the things people in social media have been saying is that Zack Snyder's Justice League, and Zack Snyder and even the DCEU, Zack Snyder is using Aaron Rand's philosophy, and it's very Randian. And Superman only cares about himself. He doesn't care about Krypton. He only cares about Martha, and he only cares about Lois Lane. I've heard this charge over and over, and people saying how Zack Snyder's a big, follower of Aaron Rand and this Randism and stuff. And I decided to confront it on Twitter. Not just me, but also some other people along with me joined in, and we challenged that. First of all, if you know anything about Aaron Randism, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's a woman, Aaron Rand, and she gave certain proponents about, the new way of viewing morality and decision making, and it is if the decision making is in the best interest of the individual, then they make that decision. It's called objectivism, and basically the individual makes choices like that. So, the millennials and so on, some of them they don't mind any other person's business but their own, and they focus on their own thing and their own lane, and whatever can be done so that they would improve or excel in their life, their morality is based on that. And so basically the people who go out there and say that, Zack Snyder is a follower of Aaron Rand, they're talking about it in that context. And that's why I once, at a certain time, they were talking about the Snyder Cut movement, and they even call it Snyder Cut, Snyder cultists, because they tried to compare it to Trumpism. And Trumpism is very much sort of the pop culture's understanding of Aaron Randism, okay? Which is that, Donald Trump is all about Donald Trump. He is all focused on Donald Trump. What benefits Donald Trump? That's what he will do, okay? Where it's expedient for him to do so. So they try to use that lens of Aaron Randism to shape what Superman's ideals are, and they try to say that Zack Snyder is sort of nihilistic in the sense that there is no point to life. Basically, life is arbitrary, but there will be steps and measures taken. I guess they're going off of the Watchmen movie, at least the theatrical cut that went out with Watchmen. What is best for society, utopianism, what's best for society will be done. And it doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. So they want to go with that sort of thing. But if you look at Zack Snyder's, obviously, Man of Steel and Superman's not doing things in his best interest. A lot of times Superman is doing things, he's fine. like, okay, take for instance, what happened with the bus, right? When he was Clark Kent, right? He saved all the members of the bus. Now, there is a version of reasoning that says what's best for the most amount of people, right? You take measures to try and save the most amount of people and not the least. Of course, that's not always the case, and that's not always the best way to go. But the thing about it is, they say this brand of Superman is a sort of Randian Superman in the sense that he's still looking out for his best interests. Take, for instance, Metropolis. That's where he was going to be working. The Earth is where he lives. So it was in his best interest to save mankind than to adapt to this new Kryptonian world. He's already adapted to Earth. Why would he have to adapt to Krypton now? That's a whole other game, kettle of fish, which I disagree with because it didn't take him very long to adapt to the atmosphere of the Kryptonian ship, right? If you do recall. Would life under the General Zod have been different? Probably, but it would have been his Kryptonian people. And while it was a culture that he was not extremely familiar with, maybe he would have been better accepted among his people. You never know. All right? Zod wasn't necessarily a good person, though. Maybe it would have been a tougher choice if Zod was a good person. Then again, probably they may have coexisted. Who knows? But the point is that that argument only goes as far as because he's, they try to argue that these are super people or Ubermen. Okay, Superman is Uberman, right? So they try to show that these are super power people as gods, and it's about deifying the gods. But Zack Snyder never went with that. As you can see, Zack Snyder went with a person trying to exist in the world who may have been deemed as a god, right? He might even look like a god. He might even behave like a god, but he didn't see himself as a god. He saw himself as a human, as humanity. So I don't agree with any of the precepts that they come with this Aaron Randism. They keep on pushing. Oh yeah, Zack Snyder is definitely going to do the Fountainhead, and I'm like, where has this come from? Like, I keep hearing that Zack's going to do the Fountainhead. He's going to do the Fountainhead. Whether he does the Fountainhead or not is really irrelevant to me. The point is that is not what the DCEU is about, and clearly it's not, because we're seeing right now the movement that came out of it, and the movement is nothing like that. There's a lot of selfless people who are doing things, doing things for various reasons, but at the end of the day, they're doing things to further this particular cause, which had nothing to do with necessarily themselves, but with the director. So think about this. Think about this. People, a lot of us in this movement, we were just small voices at one point in time. We weren't the majority, and we were pushing for Zack Snyder's movies. We were defending Zack Snyder's movies. We were separate. We were journeymen. We were strangers, and we were walking our own paths. But we all had a common understanding that we appreciated Zack's movies, right? So we weren't the majority, and we were not doing it for the greater good of everyone. We were doing it specifically for the greater good of Zack, his movies, and our enjoyment of the movies. Okay? So it wasn't some utopian choice, okay? Furthermore, the Aaron Rand theory, which is that it was only to please us and only to please ourselves, was also wrong, because we found value in Zack's movies. And we felt that that is something that we could use, empowering us to help other people. So it wasn't about us and our agenda and our self-aggrandizement. No. So the movement was born out of that. The SnyderCut movement was born, yes, out of Zack getting his cut, which Zack himself didn't think he was going to get. But it was much more than that. Now it's about America Foundation for Suicide Prevention. That is not something that's utopian. It's not like we made a decision to help more people. That just came to be as a result of the people in this movement who were caring people. So if you ask me, this is more altruism. If you want to ask me, I think this is more altruistic movement because it wasn't planned this way. Things that were not planned to be this way. It wasn't some sort of system that was put in place. It wasn't people following some sort of ideal. And the fact that Zack Snyder, he talks about Joseph Campbell quite a lot, and following the ideas that Joseph Campbell had, the fact that Zack Snyder was doing that, I thought was really great. And of course, I can tell that Zack Snyder, I already know what he was raised as. So I know he knows about the spiritual component of all things, right? Or maybe he has a different understanding now to what he used to have, but obviously everything is connected. And if we haven't realized that by now, and even the symbols that he used in his movies, hashtag us united, it's not some sort of branding, it's not some sort of commercial something, it's not some sort, it's, you can see it's thought out and it's chosen and it's picked to unite us together, right? Come together, hashtag us united, right? um you look at, just look at all the thematic ideals, which are spiritual ideas because they're thematic, right? Spiritual just means invisible, so they are spiritual ideas. This is what humanity hinges on. When we talk about love, when we talk about all these spiritual things, we're really hinged on qualities. This is what holds humanity together. That's why the arts are so important. That's why sport is so important, right? They capture the intangibles. It shows us a somebody carrying out an intangible, right? So art shows us and kind of captures the intangible, right? So that's what was going on there. And that's what this movement's all about. It's not no Aaron Rand movement, and we're not cultists. Yes, some people go up there and they say Hail Snyder, right? But you know what's the weirdest thing? Hail Snyder actually began by Marvel fans. It was Marvel fans that used to poke fun at Zack Snyder, saying that he's like Hydra. Okay? It was Marvel fans. And DC Snyder fans said, okay, we'll take it. And they took it and they flipped it. Just like how some people say, they talk about, the N-word, nigger, okay, or not. They used to call them niggers. So what did black people start calling each other? Hey, nigger, what's up, nigger? They took it and flipped it. All right. And also in this movement, which is pop culture again, what we saw was people, putting Zack Snyder up there like if he's Jesus Christ, right? So I think that's why they call him cultists, because and it looked like they were worshiping him. And I don't do that stuff. I just don't do it. I stay away from that stuff. But the point is, I get what they're saying. They're saying he's like the savior, a messiah, a messianic figure for the DCEU. He is the savior of the DCEU. So those were the tributes. So it's an iconography. It's not really, but it can seem very sacrilegious, and I don't really like going there. I don't like putting people so high up on a pedestal that, they end up falling because I put them up there. Because, Zach is a human being just like us. We liken Zach on the Superman, but really and truly, he's not Superman, right? None of us are, right? In the complete sense of the word, but we all aspire to be, right? We all aspire to be Superman. You get what I'm saying? And Zach wasn't talking about Superman in terms of his physical qualities and his, bred to be this, genetically superior race. No. Even though Superman came from Krypton, and it's funny because when we think about 300, and that's why people don't get Zack Snyder, because Zack Snyder will tell several different stories, right? He's really a great director. So in 300, why everybody talks about Zack Snyder being, pro kind of like almost Nazi, kind of Trumpism kind of thing, Aaron Rand, is because of 300, right? 300 was, these warriors who were bred and reared for war. They were bred and reared for battle, okay? Like the gypsies. When you think of Tyson Fury, when you think of Billy Joe Saunders, for those of you who know boxing, those guys are like warriors. They were bred, they were born and bred, not genetically, but they grew up in a culture and environment where fighting was something that's standard to solve disputes. Okay, they just grew up in that environment, so they are used to fighting. Well, similarly with 300, except they were genetically bred. They euthanized, the young that didn't come out perfectly. And unfortunately, in 300, the deformed guy turned out to be a guy that was a traitor to the 300 team. It is what it is, right? It's a sort of a legend story. It's kind of like Conan the Barbarian, right? Right? It's one of those lore and okay, fine. So people talk about Zack Snyder as that Aaron Ryan guy because he did 300, which is, by the way, the story of 300 is a story that is not Zack Snyder's story. Okay, so it doesn't necessarily fully align with his philosophy of life, but he wanted to put in a battle epic about these small platoon of people who was able to turn Greece around and be able to make Greece into a power, a superpower. That was the whole point of the movie. They were outnumbered. They were out there. It was like, this is Sparta, right? Everybody knows that now, right? And all of us do that war cry. When we're outnumbered, we're outgunned. It seems as though there's no chance that we can make it, right? Okay, so that basically is 300. It's very epic. It's very big. We see all the intrigue. We see the leaders, turn against the king. The guys he's going for advice, they've been paid off, and corruption and all of this stuff, right? There's a lot of intrigue in the story. But that's how almost every mythos is, right? Now, ultimately, in the end, those 300 soldiers, all of them were wiped out except for one. But the point is, who tells the story? But the point is, not that. The point is that Zack Snyder was judged based on 300. All right. They called him an action. He's great at action because he did Dawn of the Dead. Okay. So nobody really understood Zack. And Zack wasn't necessarily deep in Hollywood, as he admitted. Christopher Nolan seemed to have been his only contact. He wasn't deep into Hollywood. He wasn't a Hollywood guy. He wasn't a Hollywood type. He didn't know the landscape in Hollywood. Okay. So it's more of an outsider. So they label you and they just leave you alone. So what happened was, if you ever watch Owls of Gahul, you get to understand the hero's journey. And Owls of Gahul is a great, 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 great animated film. Period. Point blank. Period. Misunderstood a lot, but great. Great animated film. The other film is Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch. Oh man. Sucker Punch is the movie that revealed to me what Zack was all about. Zack is a guy who truly gets the underdog. He really does. Almost all his movies are about the underdog. Think about it. He's got in 300 was the underdog in terms of size, not in terms of heart and tenacity and drive, right? In um in uh in Owls of Gahul, the underdog was the little owl who was not expected to exceed and do all these things that he did. In Sucker Punch, underdog was the woman, right? She was not expected to come out from under her situation, to have some sort of control, because there was so limited amount of control she had. She had very, very little control over the situation. And yet with that little control she had, she was able to bring down a corrupt establishment. And then we look at oh man, we look at what Watchmen. Watchmen's interesting because Rorschach is the underdog in that whole entire film. He dies in the end, but Rorschach is the one, and he tells most of the story. Rorschach is the one who's the underdog in the story. He's seen as almost a bad guy who's honest and he's brutal, but he is the underdog. This is one that we all identify with in the entire story. Even though it ends up that it is really Nighthawk, is it? I forgot what his name is. Who ends up being the person who tells the story and is the person who ultimately in the end sees it to the end, right? And then we have of course, it's almost in the tradition of the 90s, the early 90s movies, like Bruce Willis in Die Hard, where Bruce was the underdog cop in Die Hard. The guy was not a great star. He doesn't look like a great. That's the kind of thing, right? When we look at Man of Steel, this time we're seeing an underdog with powers. You know, that's the cool thing about it. So they, this time the underdog. Hold on a second. Sometimes people can be super duper loud up in here, and it could be extreme disturbance. And so I went into this room to insulate myself from that noise, but it's just tremendously loud anyway. Yeah. So Superman is another one. You know, nobody thinks about it, but Clark Kent was, he had all the powers, he had all the ability, he had all this stuff, but he was still an outsider. He was still the underdog in the story. I think Zach likes underdog stories. Think about it. He was an outsider. He was misunderstood. He was picked on, right? And he had to keep his identity a secret because of that. Because people would have known that he was not a human. You know what's crazy? And we talk about xenophobia a lot, where if someone is not fitting into a group or is not someone who looks like somebody else or has a culture like someone else, people tend to hate what they don't understand, right? So they try to push that person out from amongst them because they want to keep the dynamic that they have. And Clark Kent was from a whole other universe and a whole other world. Who had been socialized to be human. That's remarkable. It's remarkable. What I mean by that is that, you know, Clark Kent, Clark Kent is, he's an outsider. He's a stranger to us. He's a stranger to the world. Even though he lives amongst humans, he's a stranger to humans. He's an underdog. And we see this underdog non-violently most of the time in this movie find solutions to his problems. And that's what makes Superman different to, I think, any other superhero, because he tries to resolve issues non-violently, like anybody in our society today would do. And after Man of Steel, we got BVS. Lots of underdogs in that movie. Um, we had an underdog villain that we underestimated. He was big, but he just looked like an underdog in the sense that he's a nerd. He's kind of awkward. He fumbles with his words. There is the underdog factor, I think, in a lot of Zack Snyder's movies. Maybe I'm forcing the issue, but I think, Superman was established, but yet he wasn't accepted by the world. And yet, even though he's so powerful, he had to learn how to deal with different nations, different people, what they want of him, not what he wants of them or what he wants to do. So I thought it's very interesting how that plays out. I don't know what'll happen with Justice League, but I just saw, oh my gosh, I just saw that little snippet with Darkseid's Omega beams, and it blew my mind. Oh snap! I looked at it. I was like, whoa! But I think I got stimulation overload now, so it's like, man, just bring the movie now. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but yeah. So yeah, you look at Zack Snyder's movies, and they teach something. I truly think that they teach something. And it gives the world as it is. Now, with respect to that, another accusation that came at Zack Snyder is, oh, why didn't he put on the red undies for Superman? I said, listen, man, that's ridiculous. Like, I know it's red trunks, but nonetheless, the red undies on the outside. I mean, I don't know, for some of you guys, you of course may have grown up acclimatized, culturized to Superman having red underwear. But for me, I've outgrown that. Like, I find it ridiculous. I'll just tell you, nobody wears underwear on the outside. Nobody wears red underwear on the outside. Think about what I'm saying. Okay. So I've always found it ridiculous. I know it's not red underwear. People could say it's a trunk, so it's just a different color change. And I know, but to me, it looks like red underwear on the outside. It just looks ridiculous. And I know Zack Snyder wanted to keep it, because that was part of Superman's costume. But then he realized, I'm have a grounded Superman. This is gonna look funny, and somebody's gonna point it out, and it just didn't look good. So me personally, even I don't want to go there, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But me personally, I thought it was like idiotic. I always thought this is stupid. About Let me tell you when. About when I think I saw Superman Returns. I was kind of bored with the movie, but nonetheless I watched it, and I was like, why is he behaving like that? First of all, and second of all, um, why is he wearing that red flaming underwear on the outside? Like that's so ridiculous. And now after doing all the research and stuff, I realized it was strongman. It's a strongman stuff, Victorian period. Um, it's part of the story. I know, but it's ridiculous. Okay, and this is why people can't take comic book characters seriously. And some of these things are just ridiculous. When you think about them, it's like, why are we watching this? Like, this is stupid. So I think Zach realized that because he wanted to rope in, I think Zach wanted to rope in people who weren't really into comic book movies, people who really didn't care about comic book movies because they didn't take them seriously. Like, oh my God, why would I do this? I've done, especially actors. You would hear actors in Hollywood saying, no, I pass on that stuff because listen, I did Shakespeare, and I think Zach sort of brought that gravitas for actors to want to act in these roles. I mean, credible actors, big actors, wanting to act in these roles because of the storytelling and also because of how Zach was depicting the character. So you got all these big time actors like Kevin Costner and the lady who plays Martha Kent, right? And even the zombie movie people, the man and the woman who played, I think they were, I forgot what the name of it was. You guys can fill me in on that. Who were the parents of Bruce Wayne, right? And then you had, big time actors like Lawrence Fishburne going in there. You had, Diane, she's coming to whatever her name is, Diane Nelson, from the Amazons. I mean, just name it, and these people were there. And I'm just saying, you don't get that kind of quality. And remember, they're supporting actors. You don't get that kind of quality in these kinds of movies because these people, they have been in really good film, and most of them, for the first time, they were actually acting in comic book movies. So you can only get people on board when you're taking the characters seriously, in my opinion. Now I know Marvel now has some people who have been in comic book movies and stuff, but for me, some of the people would tell you point blank, point blank period, I'm never acting in a comic book movie. I remember uh, the gentleman Jeremy Irons who played Alfred. He never wanted to play in a comic book movie. You go and you do interviews with Jeremy Irons, and you hear him say, "Oh no, that we don't have time for that. We have more serious things to do in life." And here he is. He's going to be in the Snyder Cut, and he has been in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And I just want to say that that's how I felt about comic book movies. Zach pulled me back into the comic book movie thing. I used to. I remember when I was away, 2007 or something. I went and watched X-Men, but I wasn't really watching comic book movies. And even, before I left to go to the States, I was watching a lot of movies. I go to the cinema a lot, and I enjoyed a lot of movies. I remember going to see The Incredible Hulk and saying, "What the hell is this?" It looked terrible. But a point being that you know, comic book movies, maybe Blade, there are a couple couple comic book movies out there that actually take the characters seriously, and also on top of that, they try to create a world in which you're really pulled in because it's like, oh wow, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? That kind of world. Um, and of late, comic book movies have been like, watching maybe watching sort of like a Sunday morning or Saturday morning cartoon on a Cartoon Network. They've become more like that, where you see a lot of jokes and the action's okay, but it's like you can tell that they're trying to imitate some sort of animated something, and not trying to ground it in reality. I detached from it, and there was no. I found no content for me personally. Nothing I could personally identify with and say that's me on the screen or that's my situation and bond with it. There was nothing really. substantial. It was more like, oh, that's his situation. Oh, I can see that. I can see that. Sort of like that. That's what you got mostly on the screen. So I didn't really particularly care about those movies, especially after what I went through in my life between 2005 to 2008. I really didn't have time for that stuff. So come to Zack Snyder, and Man of Steel really pulled me in. Everybody knows that now. I hadn't seen any of Zack Snyder's movie. I think it's on Dawn of the Dead. I remember seeing Dawn of the Dead in 2004, somewhere there. And I thought it was an interesting zombie movie, but I never really paid too much mind to it. Um, but the point is, I wasn't really on board with all of Zack's movies. But one of the weirdest thing is, when I went back and I watched Sucker Punch because I never seen it, and I saw it the first time, and I realized what kind of movie it was. And then I saw Owls of Gahul. That's when I realized this guy was on a different level. Because Man of Steel had a profound impact on me. Profound. And so when I started, let's see what else Zack Snyder has in store. And then I saw Sucker Punch. 300, never, my brother is a huge fan of 300, right? He raving about 300, and I was like, I don't get it. I don't get what's so great about that movie at the time. And but I never really got. I maybe even need to go back and watch Dawn of the Dead and 300 again, because I do know Zack Snyder has certain themes that run through almost all his movies of empowerment. He's all about empowering people, letting people know you count, you make the decisions, you have a choice. Zack Snyder's heavy on choice, and so that's what I like about when I've seen his directorial style and what he's sort of always kind of I mean, he's not. You can't pigeonhole Zack Snyder down to one sort of message or style. You won't really get that with him. But what you get from him is sort of a feeling of different variations of humanity. Sort of, and you could tell from his family, how he adopted kids and all that kind of stuff. Just look at him, and you can get a kind of idea of his sort of like his philosophy of life that I think is palatable. And even if he was to do Iron Man, I'm probably pretty sure he would do a pretty different take to what everybody perceives the pop culture idea of what Iron Man is. If so, that's why I kind of pay attention to it. I remember the movie that was based on Aaron Rand's philosophy was this guy that built a big tower. It's a Hollywood movie, and in spite of everything, he kept on building that tower. He felt that progress was necessary for the city. And I think that was the where people come with this Aaron Rand philosophy about Zack Snyder. And there are aspects of Aaron Rand's philosophy, I'm pretty sure, that are positive and we could take, and then others we discard, or people may have interpreted a certain way, and we need to discard that, whatever it is. But the point is that I'm making, Snyderism that we have, what we call Snyderism, is not based on that. At least for me, as a Christian, it's not based on that. It's based on the fact that when we look at characters like Superman, who are selfless, who always there to help, try to assist humanity in becoming better. I just can't see that as an Aaron Rand philosophy. It's altruistic. And I think Zach actually captured that altruism. And I gotta say again, and I think he, like William Ruffin, will agree with me. And shout out to William Ruffin if he ever sees this video, and other people out there who I see who are thoughtful people. That's what I, as a Christian, identified with. At the time I was a Christian, I was trying to find my place. I was trying to find out what I was going to do. I just had to return to my country because I was studying abroad. I'd learned a lot about the heart of Christ. I'd been supposedly a Christian all my life, and then I found out, about other people and their feelings and stuff. And yes, I trample on people's feelings all the time. I'm very much aware of it, and I know there's a lot I fall short of. But the point is that when I came back and I was fasting and everything, I wasn't eating. I hadn't eaten for like what, I don't know, close to 40 days, whatever. I hadn't drank much water either. But through that whole fast, like, this is when I said, you know what, let me see how I can fit into the world. How could I get this message into the world and myself? How do I fit into that equation? Because when okay, so anyway, it's like a hero's journey, right? And so anyway, the point behind it is that Zack Snyder, man, that Man of Steel came at that particular moment. And to this day, When I think of the body of Christ and the real people, the real Christians, or the real people who walk through faith and so on, they may have different labels, they may come from different cultures. It feels like the Justice League. It feels like an assembly of that. The Justice League's an easy segue. Superman's an easy segue into talking about Jesus. And the Justice League's an easy segue into talking about these spiritual things because these comic book writers actually kind of delved into many different cultures and stuff, of course. But ultimately, in the end, they went via the Judeo Christian route or the Judeo route, even, which, Schuster and, the creators, Joe Schuster and the other guy that created um, Superman were Jewish guys. So they would come from this kind of Jewish sort of, you know, idea of what they understand, their culture, right? So what I'm trying to say is, when you look at DC, there's a lot of Christocentric themes, and I just love it because it allows for that. Now I see other people swing the other end, and you can tell some people want to give tribute to the devil and stuff, and that's okay. You do what you want to do. I'm not mad at you. Some people want to, you know, um, some people want to say he's a demon. Some people want to say he's Christ, right? You know what I'm saying? Lex Luthor said Jesus was. Lex Luthor said that Superman was the devil, whereas some people worshipped Superman as if he was Christ, right? A messianic figure. So I'm just saying, different people have their different perspectives on something, but at the end of the day, is it doing good? Is it doing good? That's the first question. Because if you say you believe in God and God is good, then whatever God does should be a product of goodness, right? Ultimately. So therefore, that's the point behind the whole thing. And so this is where I go with this movie. Every time, people say, well, are you a diehard follower of Jesus Christ? Seems though you're veering off on another direction. It seems that you're absorbed in other things. And I tell them, no, you guys don't get it. You just don't get it. I'm diehard for Jesus Christ. I fail miserably many a time. I stumble and fall a lot. I trip over myself a lot because I don't give Christ, the full allowance to just flow and just be cool with it, right? But at the same time, we're a big body. We are united in the body of Christ. So if I was to speak Christocentric terms, the body's huge, and there's lots of people coming into it all the time. You get it? And as a result of that, my job is as a body member is to go out there and to share universal understanding of Jesus Christ. It's a universal understanding. That's right, it's universal. Because a lot of people can relate to Jesus Christ if you explain Jesus Christ in terms where they can see it's just real. It's everyday life. But you can't do that in a bubble and talking about all these procedural and traditional things. I got a brother on here, Brother War. Love the guy to death. Just recently he asked me how I'm doing, right? Fellow body of Christ member. He's not affiliated with any specific umbrella. Why? Because it's relational. You have a relationship with Jesus Christ, then you'll have a relationship with other people for which they're supposed to be Jesus Christ's body. So we'll think the same way. It's just like with the SnyderCut. All right? With the SnyderCut, we all think the same way. In fact, me and I just had a discussion on Twitter with another member of the SnyderCut who's coming up with the same ideas I am coming up with at the same time. We are of the same mind, right? That's of something bigger, right? And so I'm just trying to say that this is not a boys club. This is not some club for the elite. No, the common everyday person could be a part of it. And I'm not talking about Christianity right now, because sometimes that can be put into a shelving, and I despise that so much. I despise, listen to me carefully, because a lot of people just so churchianity is running through their veins so much that they're not living a life They are following a form, and it's a problem, and I despise it. But let me just make it this abundantly clear, and they feel this is a specific language now. Anyway, I'm not saying you curse and swear. That's not what I'm saying. And in fact, there's a lot of people very kind and they helpful and they really care. So what I'm trying to say is that the Snyderverse, what we call the Snyderverse, we call it because of Zack Snyder, but Zack Snyder, it's just an unofficial thing. It's just like saying Christendom or Jesusum, right? Except it's not, okay? It's like a subset of something like that, right? But the point is the Snyderverse, which is it's because Zack Snyder started that verse, right? The people there are not cultists, okay? And I despise when people say that because, yes, I know there's some of them that put the Snyder thing with Jesus, and I don't like it either. But I'm talking about in terms of what these people do. And no matter where you come from, what kind of life you are, whether people infight in the Snyderverse or whatever, in the Snyder movement, SnyderCut movement, the point is that at the end of the day, everybody is united on one thing. They came together on one thing. And that's interesting because, listen, it's not just, oh, we want to have Zack Snyder's movie. It was something like that, but it's not that anymore. It's about preventing suicide. And people are raising money on all kinds of different channels right now. And I have to put in AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Guys, go support that. Go donate to it. Okay. For those of you who are outside of the United States of America, you can donate via your Visa or PayPal or whatever you have. But go donate to it. You don't have to show anyone. You can be unanimous. You don't have to let anybody know that you're donating to the foundation, but donate to it, please. In addition, don't forget Feeding America program. Guys, donate to it as well. They're doing really good work in America. But if you're not in the United States of America, donate to your own feeding program in your country. A lot of people need food. Do it. You don't have to have a whole set of stuff. Just go with some canned goods. Go with a little bit. Give what you have. You know, there's a story in the Bible with the widow and her mite. You know, she only had a mite to give, but she gave everything. That was all the money she had. And that's bigger than those rich guys who went and threw out of the excess of what they had. So, what I'm saying to you guys is make a little room in your heart for somebody else and give. You don't have to give to a food drive. You can give to your neighbors or other people outside of your circle. But I would like to see you guys do that. Take that extra step. Just one little thing. Just one little thing extra. Go out your way just a little bit. Just a little bit. That makes a big difference. If everybody globally just did one little thing extra for somebody in need, this world would change dramatically. Okay? So that's what this movement is about. It's not just fixed on AFSP. I've seen some channels with caring people, listening to other people speak their problems. They're not qualified psychologists or anything, but trying to support and be there for that person. In the movement, I see people who are depressed and suicidal as well in this movement. And I'm happy that other members are there for them. That's the love. I feel the love. I feel the love. I feel the love. That's beautiful. It is beautiful. You know, I shout out again to this channel. I don't know what she's doing, but wherever Itzmo is, you made a big difference, Itzmo. And I like what you're doing with your life, and I hope you're doing okay. And I hope to see you on YouTube someday. Because Itzmo sparked a lot of stuff. I'm the first, most gentlest person I've ever met in my life in some respects. And she's cool. And, you know, everybody has their flaws, but the point is, she's cool. And so shout out to Itzmo. Uh, you know, some people, they don't want no credit for nothing. They just do what they do out of the abundance of their hearts. And that is also very awesome, you know. And we don't highlight that enough in this world. We don't highlight these good things to spark other people, to inspire other people to do good things. We wait on our so-called heroes, the people who we look to, the people who have major platforms or major things, and people are looking at them and they have a whole bunch of views, and we look to them as the spokespeople, forgetting that there are other people who contribute things not for reward. They just contribute. and their impact is tremendous. So I just wanted to say that and put that out there. I'm not trying to get a whole bunch of followers or anything, but I'm just saying this is something I like to talk about, and I will keep on talking about as long as I got breath in me. So no, the Snyder Cut movement is not a cult, okay? And people are catching on to it now, and Warner Brothers is catching on to it because Warner Brothers just put out, um, and I think I put it up on my post. Warner Brothers just put out the extended edition. This was Zack Snyder was working on this, so it's now a IMAX version. Oh my God, that you can get wider screen, wider viewership of Batman v Superman, and in addition, it's been digitally colorized, so it's a little bit fuller in color and richness. Oh man, I gotta get me that one of those. I gotta check my monies. I don't have enough money yet, but I will have enough money for that. But right now, I'm just saving up enough money to make sure I can purchase the Snyder Cut. And I'm gonna do it via Google. Google doesn't give the best resolution, but I just want a copy of it to see it. And then if I can get better resolution, I'll try and do that. I don't know what, Apple TV would have been great, but I don't have an Apple phone. If I had an Apple phone, it would be great. And I'm not asking anybody for Apple phone. I don't want anything from anyone. I'll get my Apple phone myself. But I just wanted to talk about this because I see it coming up and people saying also toxic Snyder fans. No, no, no. The toxicity is you guys, especially when you call us cultists. How can we be toxic and you're calling us cultists? And you're calling us Snyder bros? And you're calling us xenophobic? And you're calling us Trump supporters? And you're calling us all kinds of negative things. And then you want to go report us on Twitter, or you want to go report us on YouTube, or you want to report us on Facebook for saying things which are true. I'm pointing out things which are true, which you don't like hearing, and that you cannot respond to. Okay? And that's the thing and if we really go in on you guys, we don't do it. We don't go in at you. And when we do, you call us toxic. When you've been toxic all along for years, you've been toxic about the Snyder Cut. Making fun of it, attacking Zack Snyder, saying we'll never see the light of day, and calling us crazy and mad and ravenous and all kinds of negative things. It's not right. It isn't right. You're gonna have resistance. You're gonna be labeled negative. I've been labeled negative so many times in my life. Just trying to push the boundaries. That's all I've been trying to do, push the boundaries. Always trying to challenge people to think. Always trying to challenge people to go further. And that I thought once upon a time, I thought I was just the only person. And then, nope, of course not. Right? Of course not. And you don't have to do anything. Sometimes you just have to be there. And your being, your presence, like Superman with Lex Luthor, your presence is offensive to people because they see that you stand for something that they're directly opposed to, and it's succeeding because their view of the world is different to yours. So you instantaneously become a threat. So that's what happened with Zack Snyder. That's what happened with Superman and Batman v Superman. That's what happened with. Especially Batman was one of those guys who thought Superman was a threat. And again, sometimes it's collateral damage that causes that. Just, certain triggers. People have a different history. Everybody has a different history. Like with Batman, he had a certain history. So it triggered, his view of Superman. And sometimes, people may correct you. And you just have this negative opinion of them because even though they're right. And and then they try to get back again. You don't want nothing to do with them, right? You cut them off. And that's just the way how it goes because sometimes our emotions get ahead of our reasoning. And you get that with Zack Snyder in his movies. People, for some reason, have this visceral response to it. To Leroy Kong, what's up, my brother? Leroy Kong says, hello, great live. And just by extension, Leroy, you've been an awesome person, man. I can't wait to see the Snyder Cut. Obviously, I know you can't wait to see it either. And you've been an awesome person. Keep that positivity, Leroy, man. You do. I know you are a positive person. Keep that positive energy. I love it. And Leroy does so many creative things. I must put up some of his creative videos if I can somehow download them and convert them and put them up on here. He does so much good work and he sends it to different people. And he also sends all the movies he loves. You know what's one thing about Leroy I noticed with movies? He doesn't necessarily speak about the movies he hates. He always speaks about the movies he loves. True comic book fan. You know, the true comic book fans speak a lot of positivity into the world. And that's the thing about Leroy I love. He's very, very positive. Sometimes he gets negative, but I understand why, all of us feel that way, you know. But if you have a platform, if you have a medium like I have a medium here or platform, you want to use it to do some good. I can't forget Man of Steel for that. I think about Jarrell's words to Kal-El. I think of Jonathan's words to Kal-El. Positive reinforcement but substantial stuff. It's not just throwing flamboyant phrases. My dad was something like that. My dad would say, I don't care what anybody says. You're going to be a great man. He would always tell me that. Always. And that was my father. And I could connect with Kal-El saying, this crest on my chest, it's a symbol of hope. Zach made Superman so real to me and so beautiful to me, because his story growing up was very gentle. If you think about it, it was about values. How do we deal with this superpowered kid? How do we get him to, and it's so gentle and tender. The more powerful someone is, it's the more gentle and tender they need to be because they can damage things much more easily. And even if you look at Superman, when he's dealing with the people of Earth, how gentle he is. Even when we look at the Flash, the little segment with the Flash and Iris West, how gentle he is with her. Because the more powerful you become, is the more gentle you have to be in serving. The more careful you have to be in your decision making with your platforms. And I'm not always that way. I'm pretty reckless sometimes. I can be like a wrecking iron. Boom, like Batman. Batman was he got obsessed with the fact that Superman was more powerful than him. And he went ham on Superman. He was with a wrecking island. He almost destroyed. He was about that away from destroying the very thing that was keeping the world in balance. Isn't that crazy? He's about to snuff out the last inch of hope. And, I can relate with Star Wars too when they were talking about hope, but they were a little bit more literal. Zach's a little bit more nuanced. And that's why he got so crazy. His adrenaline was running, and he just flung the spear. He was like, "What the F I'm doing? What the hell am I doing?" He kind of snapped out of it. Superman could easily kill back. Superman could easily destroy the world. Superman. Now, alien could come to our world, or we could discover there's an alien on our planet right now who is capable of destroying everything on our planet. Did you hear what Batman said? He said if there's a 1% chance that he could go rogue, we must take it as an absolute certainty. He was absolutely right. If Superman goes rogue, think about this. All right, I'll put it in perspective for you guys. America is a superpower. Let's say America gets into the hands of another Donald Trump or some tyrant that's like Hitler. The world is in serious trouble, okay? Because the resources, the power, the fact that America is in every single country, American troops and stuff, that would be lit, dude, right? That's America. Now think about this. One individual, which is Superman, is capable of moving at super speed. You can't destroy him. You can blow him up. You can't destroy him. Once the sun's around, he's going to regenerate like Doomsday. And this dude is so powerful. You saw what he was just fighting Zod. And they wrecked Metropolis. Dude took out a missile coming at him in Batman v Superman. He took out a missile that was going to blow up the village. Okay? This is Superman. An alien from another world. And they're used to terraforming worlds. They're used to destroying worlds and building over. So, yeah, I get why Lex Luthor was afraid. I get why Batman's afraid. And if I knew something like that existed in our world today, I'd be afraid too. Y'all tripping. I mean, listen. Could Superman have killed Batman? Superman could have taken out the entire metropolis. Superman can kill every human. Batman's nothing. Look, Superman did nothing. He just stood in Batman's way with the Batmobile, and you saw what happened. Superman just gave Batman a little push, and he went flying. Superman took Batman and rammed him, couldn't he realize his suit was strong enough, and rammed him through a building. Batman's nothing compared to Superman. Come on, man. No, so it wasn't about him killing Batman. He won Batman over non-violently. That's Superman. That's Superman. That's Superman. That's what I love about Superman. Zach caught it. He got it. The hope, the inspiration, the selflessness. That's Superman. Oh, Lord Jesus. That's what I love about the character. He got it. He got it. And he was able to get it in a narcissistic world. That's Superman. Leroy Collins says Superman could easily kill Batman. Oh, yeah. It's easy, man. Kill him like he's a gnat. Didn't you see how he pushed him away like he was an insect or something? Leroy Collins says you're going to see everything in Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh, yeah. But it's not over. The story is not over. I can't wait. I can't wait. You know, we have in our chat, Panther God. Panther God is in our chat. Shout out to Panther God. Nice to meet you, sir. Panther God says Snyder ruined the character in BVS. Between Super Cuck, Lex Luthor, the Spaz Wimp, and Jimmy Olsen, it's clear Snyder does not care about Superman being portrayed correctly. Panther God says his Superman is specifically a self-centered sociopath under Snyder. Leroy Kong responds, no, you are wrong about Snyder. He got Superman right. Panther God says, hopefully John's fixed Snyder's mistakes. Okay. I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I mean, I don't see that in the Superman that I saw in BVS. I can only tell you what I saw in the Superman. I'm not going to attack you because whatever reason you're saying what you're saying, you have a good reason for saying it in the sense of this. I don't know your experiences. I don't know your life. You know, I don't know you. So I can't speak for you. But I can tell you this. I will say to you that for me and my life experiences, I can connect for the first time in many, many years with Superman. You know, just as how I can connect with God himself in a personal way, in a relationship way. Superman's journey was very much my journey. I was someone who tried to do things which were good and right, and people felt threatened by it, and they sought to hurt me and to hurt people close to me. So when Lex Luthor attacked and kidnapped Superman's mom, and Lewis Lane, which was close to him, to get to Superman, because obviously Superman's all powerful and all that. So you can't attack him by downright strength and might. You have to attack him mentally. You have to attack him psychologically. You have to attack him by attacking the people who he protects, the people who he cares most about. So I felt like Lex went after the people he cares about. And I felt like Lex stirred up Batman, who was already adverse to Superman because of what he witnessed at the Wayne Towers. I think he witnessed it with his two eyes. He never processed it properly because by that point in time, he was so emotionally invested in Jack. You know, when he saw those towers coming down like the Trade Center, just imagine, think about yourself. And you have a family member in the Trade Center. Two planes go into it, the building's still standing up. And then all of a sudden, it starts to crumble. And you were going to the Trade Center to find out what was going on. And it's crumbling. And as it is crumbling, and as your blood is pumping, you're praying to God that your family member has left the building. That moment is so intense, and so it brought me flashbacks of what happened in 9/11, because I lost fellow countrymen and friends in that building. And so for me, it was very personal. And in Man of Steel had me crying. BVS had me angry with Lex Luthor. I hated him. He was a clown, as far as, like you guys said, he was this flamboyant clown until he blew up the Capitol building. Then I feared him. I was afraid of him. I'll be honest with you. And the realness of that movie, the realness, the visceral realness of Man of Steel and BVS, for me, was very important. Now, some people go into the cinema to see something and escape. Some people use the cinema as an escape route. But I stopped running a long time ago. 46 years old. I stopped running a long time ago. I learned that you have to confront the demons in your life. You have to confront the problems in your life. You can't run from them. And yes, the cinema can be a beautiful refuge to escape the world and go into these fantastical places. But sometimes, and not so often these days, the cinema can be a place for you to reevaluate the world you are in a safe space. You can cry in there. You can laugh in there. And that is the thing about it that I love. It can be a haven, but one in which you still have to confront problems, but in a controlled environment. I'm just going to the movies. But you can get to process things. So for me, Superman means so much more now than just a figurehead, a guy in a blue suit and red cape. Zach crystallized what Superman is. And you can see the Superman in your life. You can see the Superwoman in your life. You can see those people because he crystallized it in a non-violent way. And yeah, the last shebang with Doomsday is more all glamorous and action. But in real life, we don't fight that way. In real life, we don't punch people. We don't punch things. So how do superhero movies help us in a non-violent way deal with our situation? Superman. And that's the beautiful thing about Christopher Reeve's Superman as well. He hardly punched people. He hardly hurt humans. He tried to resolve situations by fixing them, by bringing the world back together, pulling back the earthquakes together. That's the beautiful thing. He crystallized it. Almost every iteration of Superman When it comes to human beings, he tries to be minimally violent with them because he knows what he can do to them. So, and he had to learn how to control his powers. Otherwise, oh my God, he would have been Brightburn Superman. Did you guys ever? Any one of you guys saw Brightburn? Ah, now you see what Superman could do. He could be a tyrant. He could be incredibly destructive. Okay, incredibly destructive. So thank God he tried to embrace the humanity. All right, let's give everybody a voice up in here. Um, Panther God says, all respect due. Thank you, sir. Same to you, my brother. You know, to be able to embody Superman means we must respect everybody's opinion. Everybody should be free to say whatever they want to say and come from wherever they want to say it, with whatever motives they have. Because ultimately, in the end, if we're not talking to each other, that's a dangerous thing. Now, yes, if I were to go biblical on you guys for a minute, Cain was talking to Abel when he killed him. That is true. But yet at the same time, I wanted to say dialogue at least is safer because we know what each other's thinking than no dialogue at all. That's scary. It doesn't help build bonds and relationships. And I could like you for who you are, even though you may not like Zack Snyder's movies at all. And that's okay. Once you're embodying certain things that are good and trying to elevate your life daily, then what I have to worry? It's just a movie, right? It's more than a movie to me, but it's just a movie. Panther God says, oh, sorry, my bad. There's a lot going on here. Panther God says the 911 reference in Man of Steel should have been offset with Superman affirming his mission to humanity. Make a choice of his destiny instead of Snyder's has he's kind of hot joke. Shake my head. Okay. Instead of Zack Snyder, instead of Snyder's, because he's kind of a hot joke. Shake my head. Okay. Leroy Kong says, restore the Snyderverse. Yes, sir. All day. Restore the Snyderverse. And I hope that we in the SnyderCut movement do not continue along the lines of I hope that we continue along the lines that we started with suicide prevention, particularly AFSP, with Feeding America, and of course, fostering creativity and art amongst our members. That's the best thing in the world. I love seeing you guys art. It's great. All on Twitter, on YouTube, seeing you guys repackage some of the trailers and videos and seeing you guys having your discussions and talks. You know, I was watching a real serious nerd. She's really nerdy, man. And she was talking to Ray Porter. Um, and it was so great to see her and Ray Porter dialogue and Ray Porter talking to her and she's talking to him. It was just fantastic and oh, man, she's such an awesome person. And you know, it's just nice to meet these awesome people. You know, Comic Con is a time when people actually come up, they cosplay and all kinds of things, and you know, nerds and comic book fans alike come together and really, you know, lays with each other, and there's so much love in Comic Con. And you know, it's sad because you know sometimes we are fighting and we're doing these things, and maybe we share common interests. And I don't know the people who I'm talking to here completely. I don't know Leroy so much. I know his spirit that he has. I don't know you, Panther God. You may be an awesome person. We just don't know. Just because you may not like a certain movie or like taste a movie doesn't just annihilate you as the enemy and you're just somebody that I should hate. No, you know, that's your thing. I mean, if you wanna look at a certain movie and say, well, no, it's okay. Panther God says Man of Steel ended with no inspiration and emotional catharsis. It was depressing on purpose. Spider-Man is about overcoming negative mindsets. Okay, so you think that I guess Panther God, you think that Superman breaking Zod's neck was a terrible thing, an awful thing that happened in the movie. But let me ask you this question: what should he have done to General Zod, who was about to kill some humans. I mean, what other course of action did he have to take? You know, I mean, in a real scenario that is not fully under your control, and sometimes you have to make decisions that just are horrible decisions that go against your whole moral fabric, what you've been raised to do. Superman never killed anyone up to that point. He had been raised to save life, to preserve life. He'd been raised with great middle American values. And here was this fellow Kryptonian, militant fellow Kryptonian, because General Zod does not represent all Kryptonians. All Kryptonians are not bad. And as we all know, spoiler, there are at least two Kryptonians that left that Kryptonian scout ship that came to Earth, right? We know that. We know it's very possible Kara Zor-El is and Dev-Em left the Kryptonian scout ship. We saw one person leave it, but we know that Kara Zor-El she crash landed the Kryptonian ship from the prequels for Man of Steel. So Supergirl, aka Supergirl, what would be Supergirl, is somewhere on the Earth, and also possibly Dev-Em. They've all blended in. So we have two Kryptonians extra that possibly could be on planet Earth, moving around amongst men, and that's that in itself is its own story. Okay. Um, Man of Steel's ending with no inspiration and emotional catharsis. It was depressing on purpose. Superman was about overcoming negative mindsets. Well, well, well. That's the point. I mean, the way how you interpret it there is surprising because I saw it the absolute opposite way. It hit me a totally different way. I saw it as Superman had to make a very difficult decision in killing his own um, fellow Kryptonian. What, in his mind and his understanding, was the last Kryptonian present. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be choosing the Earth and its inhabitants over Kryptonian. But why did he choose? It wasn't just he chose Earth over the Kryptonian. No, it's because the Kryptonian, his way of existing on Earth was to annihilate everything that Superman knew and understood. So here was General Zod saying, oh, when there was an alternative where the Kryptonians could exist among the humans, they could have done that. There was enough of them there. They could have coexisted. And the Kryptonians could have been a blessing to the Earthlings. Remember, not all Kryptonians are like that, right? And like I said before, there's Kara Zor-El. She's living among humans, right? She adjusted to the atmosphere and the climate and everything, and she's existing among humans, and possibly Dev-Em. They're not showing up. They're not trying to dominate the world. But Zod, his methodology was, no, we have to wipe out everything and create this new atmosphere for Kryptonians. We need to exist in our own world, in our own atmosphere. Right? Because remember, he had to adjust. He had to adjust to being on Earth. But he was a general. He knew how to train his senses. For Kryptonians, remember they had to go through what Kal-El went through to adjust to Earth, which it's traumatic to say the least. It would have been interesting if Zod had chosen Kal-El's option. That would have been interesting, though. Then it would have made, if Kal-El ever killed Zod, it would be very controversial. But I think that because Zod, the person of Zod, chose this route, and then after that, he's saying you will have to. This fight ends one way, Cal. Either you die or I do. He didn't care. Okay, so he was on a destructive part because his whole purpose, his whole reason for existing was to make sure that Krypton survived. Even on Krypton, he was fighting for Krypton to survive. He was a little bit deluded in how he would go about doing it because he was a man of war and that's all he knew. But the point is, that was his purpose. And he accused Kal-El of taking that purpose from him when he destroyed the Kryptonian chamber. Okay, on the Kryptonian scout ship, right? And remember, there was no longer any world engines because one world engine was destroyed and the other world engine had been sucked into the Phantom Zone. But my thing was this. My thing was this. If Zod really, if Zod really wanted Krypton to live on Earth, he'd have been patient. He wouldn't have attacked Cal. He would have retreated. Because think about it, there were pieces of the other world engine there. The scout ship was still there, and even though it was damaged very heavily, the Kryptonian regeneration chamber still worked. But because he's a man of war, he overlooked so many things. You could see even his coup attempt was senseless because he was so much into war and so much ingrained in his own philosophy. He was narrow-minded in his thought process because they're going to use the Kryptonian chamber to bring back Superman. They use Lex Luthor used the Kryptonian chamber to create Doomsday out of Zod. So it was operational, but he didn't realize it. He thought all his hopes were shot. And so when you think about this movie that I'm telling you about, there's just so much to it. Hate makes us narrow-minded. Hate, the clearest way to think is if you have love in your heart. If you're not stressed out, hate will kill you. Hate destroys you. And so love helps you to see straighter and clearer things. Even if you make mistakes along the way, love can guide you in the right direction. And I'm not talking about infatuation. That's not love. Let's go on. Leroy Collins says Zack Snyder's a true DC fan. He's the greatest director ever. Well, I mean, more power to you if you feel that way about him. You know what I mean? I just like him as a person. I like his movies. I think Ridley Scott is a hell of a director. I think there's a lot of really great directors out there. So, yeah, but I think Zack is an underratedly great director, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And I really love his movies of late that he's been making. So that's just my take on it, because I can relate to some of his movies. I really can. Panther God said, he always was more than just a guy in a suit. The true Superman fans knew them, though I'll give Snyder credit for connecting with people who don't read comics. Yeah, he actually got to people who don't read comics. That's the point. Yes, of course. Well, I would put it this way. I feel like Zack Snyder flushed out some things about Superman that the comics may have alluded to, but there's so many different versions of Superman to start with, but the comics alluded to, and essentially, Zack made him real for a lot of people. I read comics when I was younger, lots of comics. But when I got older, I hadn't really read comics. And then I went back to reading comics after Man of Steel. And the kinds of themes, very deep, in-depth themes about, what it means to be a leader in society, what it means to be somebody who's considered a hero. And there's so many different things about that, right? But at the end of the day, there are things that Zack did and added to the character which the comics alluded to, but weren't comic book centric. And he went back to things of humanity. For example, Zack made the story more about the human aspect of Superman, but he made it abundantly clear he was an alien. And I noticed that even comics depictions and stuff, they call him a Kryptonian, but nobody thinks of Superman as an alien. And I think Zack's the first person to really articulate that really clearly for everyone. He's not one of us. He never was. And as someone aspiring to be the best, when you're not something, you desire. And when you desire it, you really want to be the best version of it. And I get that beautiful storyline where Superman, you know, let's forget the name Superman. Kal-El, Kal-El, because he's Kal-El. He's not Clark. He's Kal-El. Kal-El wanted to be human. He wanted to fit in at first. And Kal-El found out that he wasn't human. But that he was there to inspire humans. That his father shared some of the qualities and the aspirations that humans would want to aspire towards. This is why when Clark found out that he was Kryptonian, and then he found out that all his Kryptonian family were gone, he looked at his father and he said, "So I'm alone." Remember when he said that? He said, "I'm alone." And why is he saying this? He's saying this because he has no one to relate to. It's a beautiful thing and nobody really captured that aspect of Superman. Everybody always felt it was great to be Superman, and it's great to be powerful, and it's great to show your powers. But there's no one I can relate to. These things happening to me, I have no one to relate it to that think, "Oh, that's normal. Let me show you what he's." No one. And his father, or at least the intelligence of his father, had to explain to him, and he put a sort of burden on him, but nonetheless, his father tried to pass on this timely thing about the House of El, what they represented, what he has to offer to the world. And, Lois Lane is the closest thing Superman will come to somebody who can relate to him. But even Lewis in BVS is loyal to, as Martha Kent will say, the symbol of Clark. And she couldn't necessarily touch the person of Kal-El. Remember, Clark is Kal-El. And as much as he's socialized as Clark, he physically is Kal-El. He's from the House of El. This is why Superman. And Kal-El cannot find someone to relate with him. You understand? Now Clark has got Lewis, but Kal-El has no one. He's alone. He can't be fully his Kryptonian self or his Kryptonian tendencies. He cannot fully express those. So that's part of his hero's journey. You understand? So this is what I'm trying to share with people, that Zach captured the alien side of Kal-El, the side that is Kal-El. And Kal-El got some marching orders from his father. What his father's hopes and dreams were bundled up in, that Kal-El would be, he would do a world of good wherever he went. When it comes to Kal-El, he had to find his own way. And really, really, really interesting enough, the answer was always there. Jonathan, the adopted father, gave Kal-El the answer he was looking for. Jonathan said, It's the people who care about you, who've been there for family. You guys can relate to this. All you guys who have family, all you guys have people who care about you. They love you. There may be a barrier between you and them, whatever barrier that may be, but they're down for you to the end. Those people are the reason you do what you do. So Kal-El is not fully relatable to humans, but he learned that there were certain humans that he goes to for advice. There's certain humans who believe in him and trust him and love him. And that's where Kal-El was able to find some sort of relatability, in spite of the fact that he cannot work at optimum capacity. He cannot fully be a Kryptonian on Earth. That was his consolation, because he was trying to accomplish his father's marching orders. Be inspiration and hope to them, and they will finally march along with you in the sun. And what happened? The opposite, right? He saved Metropolis. Some people wasn't happy. He was helping around the world. Government had a problem with that. When he went to be held accountable and to say his piece, disaster happened. That's not the way it's supposed to go. So he's like, what am I supposed to do as a Kryptonian? Because he's using his Kryptonian, and he's got these enhanced abilities, whatever. So he's as a Kryptonian there. He's trying to find the answer. Only been Superman for a while. This is like Superman Begins, according to Shades. The story from Man of Steel to Batman v Superman is like Superman Begins. He's still finding himself. He's still trying to grow. The hero's journey is continuing. And that's what I love. It's an evolving Superman. It's a Superman becoming. Leroy Khan says we must fight for Zach. Zach deserves justice. 100%. I agree. Leroy Khan says yes. Panther God says Brightburn was what Zack Snyder really wanted to do. No, my friend. And Leroy Khan says the same thing. No, you were wrong. That I can tell you. Zack Snyder is a big fan of Superman. He's a huge Superman fan. Leroy Khan says Man of Steel was made accurately. Yeah, I mean, as far as the comics, he pulled from a number of different comics. But ultimately, in the end, this particular story was David Gore's baby that Christopher Nolan collabed with him for, and so it's got Nolan and Christopher Nolan's brainchild. And when Zach was brought on board to direct it, they jumped on board, because you see, Zach wasn't trepidatious about doing a Superman movie. He was like, I don't want to do that. And when Christopher Nolan and David Goyer pitched the story, Zach was like, okay, I can do that. Leroy Khan says the Codex is still in Superman's body. That's what saved it. Right. So the Codex is just genetic material. Well, I mean, different people have different opinions of it. Zach was, but anyways, it's sort of like genetic materials, like you and I and everybody else who's not genetically engineered to be something, right? The Codex had all the different genes, switch on or off, whatever. I don't know exactly how Kryptonian physiology works, but he has all the stuff to be like you and I. He can choose to be what he wants to be. And that's why it was beautiful to see, and that's the difference. See, that's why you can't call this an Aaron Rand movie or or like a Hitler or something, or a supreme race, because unlike 300, where they would genetically, you know, destroy and euthanize the injured and so on. This is the opposite. This movie was about someone who genetically was allowed to choose his own destiny. He's allowed to choose his own destiny. He's just like a normal person like you and I. When we're born, naturally born, we have all our genes and everything, and yeah, we're predisposed to certain things, but we get to choose our own destiny. And Superman had the same. And the key thing in the Superman movie, unlike other Superman movies, is Zack Snyder gave Superman choice all the way through. He had to make certain choices, and he had to live with the consequences of them. And I love that again, you know. But what I'm trying to stress is the alien side of Superman was something that Zack Snyder really pushed, the alien side of him, that he's not a human being. And he stressed it heavily in Batman v Superman. Batman's thing was that Superman was not one of us. He went exactly what General Zod said. He said he's not one of you. He will look like you. He will talk like you, but he is not one of you. And that registered in Batman's mind. He never forgot it. And Lex Luthor was of the same mindset. He was like, I actually did a piece on it. The Kryptonians flying around, and the senator said, "Well, the only Kryptonian flying around that we know about is Superman." And he was like, but, yeah, Superman, but there's more, right? And truly, there are more Kryptonians on the Earth. They're walking among us quietly. And I guess Lex might know about them, right? And I know that was really referring to the meta-human thesis, that they're more superpower beings, but there was also Kryptonians. There's also Kryptonians in that mix, walking the planet. So anyway, the point is that those people stayed silent. They tried to stay out of the public eye. Even when the big thing with General Zod and Metropolis was going down, those Kryptonians was keeping quiet. They wasn't trying to be found. Because if General Zod found them, maybe they'd be in problems. So they decided, I'm gonna lay low. A lot of the meta-humans, it was like, I'm gonna lay low. Yeah, I ain't really business with that. I mean, so it's very interesting. It's very interesting because Wonder Woman's around. Um, a lot of Kryptonians, two Kryptonians, maybe two or one Kryptonians around, and you got a bunch of other people around, not humans. But Lex only discovers them after the Superman, when Superman comes to public, right? So I say all of this just to say that it's just beautiful that we have this movie coming up, the Snyder Cut. I know it's going to be great. I know it's going to be tremendous. I know there's going to be some humor in it. Strangely enough, I know it's going to be an epic film, and we know Ray Fisher saw it, right? And if the movement is so Trumpian and Nazi-like, why is Ray Fisher someone we're standing for? Why is it that Ray Fisher is right now? He's really trying to get equity in Hollywood, where you know cast members and people who are no namers or whatever in Hollywood are not mistreated. I always felt that Hollywood could have been a place where the older people who went through a lot of stuff and seen a lot of crap would mentor the younger people coming through, so that they didn't have to go through that. And also, in addition, they should be even more gentle and kind to the newcomers, knowing what crap they went through. I always felt that should be the way, not people, okay, I got the position of power, now I'm going to exploit and wield my arm and power as much as I can, because then that's destructive. That's destructive. And I quite frankly just wanted to talk about all this stuff to you guys. I gotta go take a bath and gotta get something to eat, but I just wanted to share that with you guys because before I got there and put together another video, I could put another video together, and I gotta contact some people, but gotta contact metals and mortals, but you know, excuse me for the yawn. It's a beautiful thing when we can see a movement like this working, but also I got to look beyond that to also our families, people around us. Sometimes you just need to show people love. Shout out to again Panther God for coming through. We don't have to agree on everything, Panther God. All I just hope is that we could show love to one another, respect to one another. Um, I am not always the most respectful guy in the world, but I aspire to be respectful to other people and show love to other people. We don't have to share the same opinions to at least have a civil discussion and to have some respect with each other. And I can respectfully disagree with you and push back. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I've not always been this way. There are times when wasn't this way. So, everybody grows and evolves. And this is the story of Superman. You can't expect people to be perfect. I don't know any human being that I've seen who's been perfect. I've seen people who are really awesome, admirable, and so on, but not perfect people. So why is it we expect people to be perfect and we ourselves are not perfect? And similarly with Superman is growing and he's going to be making mistakes as he grows and he develops. And he's the guy out there. Everybody else is in the shadows. Um, he put himself out there, and it's strange when you step out into the light. That's one of the things people see your flaws as well because the light shows up everything. And we all go through different stages in our lives. We got to be patient with one another. We have to be kind with one another. We have to be considerate of one another. And we have to um, be able to express our likes and dislikes of things, but separate that from our likes and dislikes of people. And that's the thing, that's what I love about movies. Movies are something that if I don't like a movie, I'm not going to go talk about it. Because you know why? There are three different reasons. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that went into making those things. I don't care if it's a Marvel movie. I don't care if it's um, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. A lot of production staff and people went into it, and there's always something good you can say about something, you know. So anyway, that's all I got to say for now. Um, Truly appreciate each and every one of you guys that made your contributions today. It was interesting seeing Panther God come on here. I don't know who Panther God is, but I like you, bro. You're an honest person. At least you're expressing your opinion. It doesn't have to be something I agree with. It doesn't even have to be a right opinion. But I'm glad that you're expressing yourself on social media. And maybe one day you'll hop on here and we'll have a talk about movies and stuff like that. I would be very happy. As well as Leroy. Leroy, you're awesome, bro. You and I see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And you're in some respects I envy some of the qualities you have. And I want to add it to my arsenal, just the positivity and the fact that you stand for truth at the same time. You're a very positive individual. So I just want to thank Leroy Kong and also Panther God for coming through here. And it's good you guys are comic book fans and probably DC fans as well. And Panther God, obviously, he likes what Jeff Johns has been bringing to the table. I guess also the CW and those kinds of iterations of superheroes. And there's nothing wrong with that, Panther God. Absolutely nothing is wrong with that. Let me just let you know. That's great. You have a passion. You have a love for stuff. And for me, while those things don't necessarily appeal to me, I'm like the diametric opposite to you in terms of taste. Doesn't mean that what you're doing, if it edifies your life, if it makes your life better, then great. That's what it's all about. If what I watch makes my life better and edifies my life, that's what matters. Because at the end of the day, we have to be able to deal with each other in a loving, caring way. If I knew something happened to Panther God, I would not be happy. you know. And if there's something good that happened with Panther God, I'll be celebrating with him. That's how it should be. And um, I think that's the point of these movies anyway. Is supposedly to bring us together. So why should something that's supposed to bring us together separate us apart? Now, at least let it accomplish its purpose. Let us be people who can at least come together in caring for each other, in spite of whatever we may be doing. And I try not to do reviews which are scathing about movies. I'll speak about specific things I think that if I were to do a movie review on any movie, I'd speak on specific things. First of all, I would try and elucidate what the story is, but I'll speak on specific things I think would allow the movie to be better. But because I am not one of those high level creative filmmakers and creative content, I'm very humble to understand that they knew exactly what they were doing and the risk they were taking. And therefore, I respect them for that. And I then go on to do as carefully as possible my criticism, because you have to understand, especially with big budget movies, a lot of money's put into these things, a lot of people and time and presence, and commitment and love is put into these things. Well, sometimes love, and sometimes not. Sometimes it's just seen as a job, but there's a lot of put into these movies. So I try my best to be as careful as possible in how I analyze things. I try to speak on specific lines, and I try to be as specific as possible about what it is I think could be done to improve if there's a sequel, or if you know there's going to be any more extra storytelling to that movie, if it's a part of a series. If it's just a movie on its own, a one-time thing, then I try not to be as harsh on those things, because again, you're talking about people, resources, and stuff. So I would say where it had an impact on me, I would say where um, it brought up some very interesting things, or it brought up certain things which I think we should consider. If it didn't bring up anything of tremendous value or anything, I may talk about the relationships in there, that kind of stuff. So I try to overall things I don't like to watch. I know it's just not my thing. I try not to review those things. I try not to talk about them actually. But when I see a movie that I think is worth the while, it may not be a big budget movie. Maybe it be something that everybody's talking about. I like to review those movies. But yeah, to each his own. And it's good having talked to you guys. I got to get out of here now. It's been an hour and 42, almost 53 minutes. But I just wanted to stress once again that the movement is not a cult, no way near, and it's definitely not Aaron Run based. Um, and I'm just laying it down there so that people will know uh, that there's a lot more to things than meets the eye, and I vociferously defend the fact that this movement has done a lot of good things, and I haven't really seen any other fan base in fandom do something like this, which is really awesome. Not to say and not to toot our horn or anything, but I just hope that more fandom will raise money and help causes, and particularly raise money for good things, and seek to reach out to other fandom. Shout out to Alita, Battle Angel. Oh man, I love those guys. When I saw that movie, I wasn't going in there to look for that movie. It was some other movie we were going to look at. I was like, what is this crappy movie? Went in there and got blown away. Me and my cousin was like, whoa, it's very violent, but goddamn. And the CGI was just on point. We was like, whoa, look at that. Look at a real face. What is that? You know what I'm saying? We got blown away by it. I haven't gone back in the cinema and seen it again. I haven't watched it in a while. Hell of a movie, man. So Alita Battle Angel fans are actually organizing so that they can get a sequel to the first Alita movie, and I really would. I'm backing him 100%. I actually signed the petition for that, and of course, there's a petition also. Like I said before, I'll put it in the community section for us to hashtag restore the Snyderverse. So we're looking forward to that so that we can get the Snyderverse restored. And there's room in DC for every single different universe. So if you like the CW, if you like what Warner Brothers is doing in terms of theatrical stuff, and if you like the Snyderverse, if you like DC Online, um, there's room for everybody, as Jim Lee says. And so we're not saying, and just like with the Superman with the red trunks, right? And without the red trunks, there's room for both versions of Superman. Okay. And I have my opinions about Superman in terms of that, but aside from me, there's room for everybody. So whatever. The beautiful thing about DC is, and it was always that way with DC Comics, is whatever your preference for things, there's something there for you, and that's what DC should be all about. You know, I love the Joker. Um, the upcoming Batman film, not really feeling it, but I'll be interested. It had a very intriguing way of pushing itself. I'm really looking forward to seeing a Ben Affleck, Joe Manganiello with throw in also Joker in there and Harley Quinn, you know, and Deadshot, throw them all in. But I don't think I think Ben Affleck was working on a on a Batman movie with himself and Deathstroke, right? That's gonna be interesting, man. Man, since the video games, since the Arkham games, man. What was the Arkham games? Since the video game anyway, where Deathstroke was fighting Batman, we always wanted to see that stuff. So remember, it's all about the fans, and it's all about what we would like to see. And Zack Snyder is making it possible. I just saw a dark side throw the Omega symbols. He just did the Omega beam. Sorry, the Omega beam. I was like, woo! It's gonna come out just now on YouTube if it's not on YouTube. I'm like, yeah! And when the Amazon said, "We have no fear," yeah, Hippolyta yelled out, "Where is your fear?" And the Amazon said, "We have no fear." I was like, damn. Got his on. He was fighting Steppenwolf. That was some crazy stuff, man. Oh man, I can't wait. I really can't wait. Anyways, people, man, I've been enjoying this moment. I got to go back and get back to work in terms of doing some video editing and stuff, all kinds of stuff going on. So I'll catch you guys later. I got to go get something to eat too. It's probably middle of the day by now. But it's been tremendously wonderful talking about this. We have basically Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We have 4 to 5 more days before the Snyder Cut lands. And then I heard Zack Snyder say he's going to do a premiere. No, they're doing a premiere. That's a gift. But I mean, he's going to do actually a he's going to do a breakdown of it. He's actually going to be doing a session where he's actually talking about the Snyder Cut while it's happening. So snap, got to try and get to that too. I don't know, man. I don't. I definitely can't be watching the movie while he's breaking it down because I don't have a second phone. But I may be able to get a second phone. Who knows? And also I might get a flat screen TV. That might be. I think I can get one for pretty cheap. So we'll see. I can get a flat screen TV. I can link my phone back to the TV, but I don't have a device to link the phone to the TV. But I'm gonna have to get that device, unless it's a smart TV. In which case, I don't have to link my phone to the TV. I think the TV can do it on its own, which I think I might have to do. But hey, we'll see. And I want to invite my cousin, at least my cousin, come across and see it with me. Yeah, I want to get some other people, man. But we may have to do it as a rerun, or maybe when the IMAX comes out, we all go down to the IMAX. Oh man, oh man. Anyways, people, man, this has been Christ I Am Disciple, and God be with you guys. Let me leave you guys with a piece of scripture. You guys leave you guys with a piece of scripture. What's that? What? Really? Is it really 3 o'clock? Am I seeing right? That's weird. What time is it? I'll have to check. I thought it was 11 in the morning. It looked like it was morning. Okay. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, peoples. SnyderCut, baby. SnyderCut, baby. Oh yeah, I said I was gonna leave you with a piece of scripture. I forgot. Let me hit you guys with this. You know what? Let me. Man, this thing is strobing. Show you guys some plants and stuff. I don't know how clear this is coming across. Okay, though. All right, let me read this thing for you guys. I don't know what I'm reading. All right. I ain't done this in such a long time, bro. Can't see that. See it now. All right. 3 Psalms 37:1 says, don't be disturbed because of people who do evil. Neither be jealous that these people work terrible things. For they shall soon be cut down like the grass and wither as the green herb. Yeah? What does that mean? Well, perfect example of this is these plants here. These are some of my potted plants. Oh, it's still drizzling. All right? We're out here in the rain. You see that? Now, when you cut grass, see, it gets too high, and you cut it, it gets to be stubble, right? It grows back again, but it gets to be stubble, right? These plants. So, this boy came up good. Look at him now. Oh, he looking good now. It's great. So my palm trees I take care of. Yeah. So don't fret about those people. What we do is we focus. Oops. It's indoors. What we focus on is we focus on the good, and we try to get rid of the evil. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to go to 2 hours. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Life is more than just about. It's more than about ourselves, and what we want, and only about ourselves. It's much bigger than that, obviously. So it's all about trying to get as much good things done. And it's not just for your group, but it should also be for everyone as much as possible. So that's what I got for you guys. I am out of here. I am Christ, I am disciple. I hope you guys have a blessed day. I got to get back to work. Peace.